I'd like to welcome you today to another edition of Beyond the Budget. I am City Administrator Matt Podorowski, and with me today is our Public Works Director Brian Jung, who's going to be talking a little bit about our capital improvement program, which is a big part of the budget discussion that we're having for our 2021 budget. Now, I was going to start the segment by going down this slide, but as you can see, this slide no longer exists, and that's some of what Brian's going to talk about. So Brian, give us a little background on the capital improvement program. How did it start, and really what's its purpose?
Really what drove it was, the development that we had in the 80s and 90s, and all of a sudden starting to notice this happening, and really no real good way to replace it. So late 2012, 2013, we put an asset list together of all of our amenities and all of our parks, playgrounds, but different items that would be supported by the capital improvement program. Basically laid out a budget and realized that if we spent about $1 million annually, we could have very sustainable parks with very safe amenities, and not just parks. The capital improvement program addresses the pavement maintenance programs of both the streets and all of our trails. Really, prior to this program, we were able to do 1 mile of our 75 to 80 miles of trails a year, which just truly wasn't sustainable. But it also takes care of like our outdoor warning sirens, parks, playgrounds, but numerous walls within the city. But that program was started in 2013, fully funded in 2017, and today we're looking at a playground that is really scheduled for next year. As Matt stated, there's a reason that we have to replace these, and one is just as it ages, through the sun. Very different than our cars. We can park our cars in the garage, but these never get parked inside. So really, our sun is our biggest enemy. But when we come in to do these projects, we not only look at the age of the structure, we look at really ADA compliance, what's really in the park, and then really give the park a facelift.
So we've been doing this program, fully funding it since 2017, $1 million a year. As you look back over the last 3 years that we've had this fully implemented, what are some projects that you're really proud of that you think that the public really probably recognize and would see out there that represent work that's been done in this program?
Well, one thing that they won't recognize is we've replaced all of our outdoor warning sirens. They were all, some were as old as 42 years old. The newest one we replaced this year was 35 years old. But that's something that people don't realize and understand, but as a public safety measure, it was one of our really actually prouder moments. We're also paving now 3 miles of trails on an annual basis, which seems to be very sustainable. Our priority trails are our ones that get winter maintenance, and we've almost got all of those covered in the last really 5 years.
Good. Well, as we look into this next year, so we have $1 million. There's road improvements are done, trail improvements. What are other things that people could expect for 2021 in our CIP program?
One of them is really the replacement of the Cortina Woods playground. Replacing the playground structures, making sure we have the ADA compliance. Another one is the resurfacing of the tennis courts at the Chaska town course. They haven't had a surfacing for probably the last 20 years. They're in desperate need. This year we're looking at a little bit bigger overlay, mill and overlay program, roughly about $450,000 to $500,000. And again, next year will be 3 miles of trail. We also are planning to replace on our main trail system just north of the Brandondale area. There's 3 culvert crossing that has caused issues over the years with they've met their life expectancy, but the erosion issues that are created by putting water through a pipe are damaging the creek bed. So we've gone through the DNR permitting process, and they're looking to put a bridge in, better accessibility, and long term, these bridges they'll be here long after I'm gone.
Good. And then, one thing that you've talked to me about quite a bit is the importance of keeping up with maintenance of roads. So talk about what would happen, other than just people not having a good surface of a road to be able to drive on. What happens if you don't keep up with seal coating and overlays? How much can you affect the overall life of a road?
Well, by taking a do-nothing approach, it's really, you really can't do that. You need to use really all the tools kind of in our toolbox, which is seal coating, milling overlays. But crack sealing is probably one of our number one pavement preservation programs that we do. If you, in all likelihood, people would be looking at having to do reconstructs within their neighborhoods at probably year 25, and that would be a full reconstruct being assessed back to the homeowners or residents. Right now, our program isn't set up that way, where the capital improvement program really finances our pavement management system.
And how long can a street last if you keep up with that maintenance?
Probably between that 50 to 60 year timeline.
So really, if we keep up with the system, which is included in the CIP program, people can expect that they'll only have to see the replacement of their road maybe once during the lifetime of their household, if that.
That is a correct statement.
Okay. Well, it's Brian has been doing a fantastic job with our Public Works Department and other departments at really taking this capital improvement program seriously, making sure that we're reinvesting back into the things we've already invested into, and which is a real important component of making sure that we're being fiscally prudent with the assets that we have. So we appreciate you, Brian, coming out and explaining a little bit about the capital improvement program.
Thank you, Matt.
And next week we're going to be having another week of Beyond the Budget to talk about further things that we're talking about in our budget process this year. So until next week, I hope you have a good week.